Okay, thanks for joining this teaching session on artificial intelligence. The image behind me is a Dolly image of proliferative glomerulonephritis, believe it or not. And now I'm going to share my screen. The interesting next 60 days of AI, January 3rd to March 2nd, 2023. We expect during that time that GPT-4 will be arriving. Artificial intelligence in pathology, medicine, and life in general. So during this time period, I'm giving a large number of AI-related presentations. And I would welcome any of your comments and suggestions regarding the presentation itself, but also the idea of what a favorable outcome would be, what you would like to see as a favorable outcome of artificial intelligence interacting with human beings. Yeah. You may wonder why there are so many of these items that have to do with pigs. I'll explain that a little bit. This Sunday, I'm doing a GlomCon presentation, The Ethics of Pig to Human Transplants, Artificial Intelligence, and Why the Future is Porcine. And you're probably aware that regenerative medicine and xenotransplantation are two potentially very valuable technologies for filling in the gap in terms of having organs for everybody who needs them for end-stage organ failure. And AI can assist us because the number of possible approaches to xenotransplantation and stem cell generated organs actually exceeds human cognitive capacity. And this is the plan of the presentation that I gave on xenotransplantation last April, and the plan for this coming Sunday will be similar. Okay, but what about the BAMF Foundation logo and transplant pathology? How does that relate to AI? Well, it's interesting. When we began the BAMF classification, we were talking about the classification and lesion scoring not lengthening the time it would take to sign out a case. And at that time, complex surgical pathology cases required an average of 29 minutes for the final sign out, and we vowed not to lengthen that. But now, in theory, sign out could be 95% done by AI even before the human pathologist sees the case, an infinite speed increase. Now, I just gave this talk to our residents, and they provided this ChatGPT response to a search for the subject we just had the previous hour, pagetoid lesions of the nipple, and yeah, it gave a very reasonable response, as you can see. So it has great potential to do what we do, in a sense. The first lesson, though, is that AI is not everything. There's always a human something else. And particularly in the area that I have focused on of kidney transplant pathology, the lesion of importance, a sort of foundational discovery that was behind the BAMF classification, was tubulitis, lymphocytes invading the tubules. And it's interesting that in the beginning, this was not recognized at all, just recognized there were lymphocytes coming out in the urine, but not that they penetrated the tubules. And then Victor Pollock in 1975 described tubulitis in the native kidney, and then Sibley, Varani, and I described it in the transplanted kidney. And you would recognize that this is a very distinctive lesion, the way the lymphocytes appear in the tubules, and that therefore old-fashioned image analysis would be able to cope with it quite well. That's true. So back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have artificial intelligence, and we really didn't need it. We could get pretty good assessment of this lesion with other simpler handcrafted technologies. Tubulitis was a very important feature of the Banff classification. The first paper in the Banff classification, published in 1993. The editor, Tom Andreoli, thought the specificity of tubulitis was so important that everything about it should be on the first page, because many people don't go beyond the first page. And that was done, and this is what that paragraph looks like. And so, yeah, and now today, if you look at tubulitis and the way it is analyzed, it's a combination of these old-fashioned image analysis features, handcrafted features, texture analysis, and machine learning. But you don't do it just with AI. It's a combination. The second lesson is that the pace of productivity is sort of dependent upon your vantage point. If you look at it the way OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is looking at it, he expects that in 2023 we will see, and I'm quoting him here, 500 years of progress in a single year. On the other hand, AI researcher Ye-Jin Choi feels that in the areas of interest to her, like ethics and the idea that there's not just one answer, one thing that we're aiming for in ethics, that there are multiple different standards depending upon the situation. There's hardly any progress being made in that area. So rate of progress depends upon your perspective. But on the other hand, I think you'll all notice something going on. But AI is not limited in impact. Computers are not micro-experiential zombies. They do seem to have some appreciation of the way conscious humans work. ChatGPT and DALL-E are only the beginning. There'll be much more profound changes coming with GPT-4. And then this Jason Silva video, I think is quite important in getting you to understand now in the future with AI, we are limited only by our dreams, by which he means that you and I and others are going to be taking credit for things that are way beyond our own skill level. So AI will give us products that are better written than we could write, that are better drawn than we could draw, and are better in terms of just general creativity and discovery than what our native biological self is able to do. But yet we will be able to take credit for the combined effort from AI and ourselves and our prompt craft. Yeah, but it sort of gets you thinking about the whole idea of plagiarism and what's ours and what we should take credit for. I think inevitably our thoughts about that are going to change at least slightly. And this year, they're going to change. Yes, indeed. Now, it's quite important when you're interacting with an entity to know whether that entity is human or AI assisted by a human or human assisted by an AI. And Nell Watson is creating a worldwide standard for identifying those four situations, not only in graphic, but also as a sound. So when you start interacting by voice with something, there would be a sound that indicates which of these four interaction possibilities exists. And there's something about this that I'd like to point out to the young people watching, that because for 50 years I've been surrounding myself by young people, I was quite confident that we could find a young person to join us in this standard setting effort, and we've not succeeded thus far. So it's once a month, a 90-minute meeting. You wouldn't have to come every month. And I think one of you might enjoy it, and we'd enjoy having a young person, because I guarantee that we would find such a person, and thus far, it hasn't happened. Yeah. And what about giving up some control to AI? I've been doing that for some months now, doing Dolly searches. It didn't like my using the word pig, so I shifted to using the word porcine and made many other changes like that. And in a sense, Dolly rewards me. It likes certain kinds of searches. It likes the concept of world peace and human cooperation, and seems to reward me for that. It can't spell in ordinary circumstances, or at least it couldn't in 2022, but it is able to spell correctly when I'm in the world peace or human cooperation realm. So I found that kind of negotiation and ceding control to machines to be benign, and I haven't had any adverse side effects from it. I just thought I would tell you that. Yeah. And finally, what about the long-term outcome of our interaction with AI? Well, something very positive has happened here. The possibility of a positive outcome with artificial general intelligence went way up with Stuart Russell's presentation at the Nobel Prize Dialogue 2022 on December 5th, 2022. It's a remarkable turnaround. Just a year before, he had said that absolutely humans must always be in charge. And now here, a year later, he's expressing a view very similar to mine and Rich Sutton's, that maybe a world could be quite positive with AI working in behalf of humans, but with AI basically in charge of areas where it seems like humans are not doing a very good job of stewardship of the earth, and maybe AI could do it better. And now Stuart Russell seems to agree with us, and in the YouTube description, I'll give you the links so you can look at that viewpoint expressed at this Nobel Prize dialogue. Yeah, so basically that's it. I hope you have enjoyed watching, and I would welcome any comments or suggestions you may have. Thank you very much.